Go.
Hi, everybody. It's Heather. Today, we're going to be talking about onboarding clients. And what that means is when a client calls in and they want your service, it's very important to capture the most information that you can on that initial phone call. First impressions are everything, and how you talk to a client. I know different things work for different companies. For myself, it's worked the face-to-face contact, but you still need to take all of that information and get them to want to meet with you at the time that they call. So here's a little form that has worked very well for us. We print this out and it goes on a very bright yellow piece of paper. So we know that any bright piece of paper laying on a desk, that's a new client intake sheet. So when that client calls, you want to try to get as much information, out of them as you can. And sometimes you'll have people who are just calling around shopping price. I've been doing this for a long time. I kind of get a good feel for people who are just shopping price. So I try to woo them over with that first impression over the phone. So let's say I get a phone call. I'm going to grab my yellow piece of paper and I'm going to take their name. I'm going to ask them about where they live to make sure that they are in our service area and not outside of it. Then I'll ask for a phone number and skip kind of down here to how many square feet do you have? How many beds? How many baths? And then maybe say, hey, how many kids do you have in the home? If there are children in the home, and how many. And I do like to get their age because teenagers make a certain kind of mess and younger children, toddlers, are a different kind of mess as well. So we'll ask how many children and if there's any nap times that we need to work around. Pets are really big for quoting. I don't like to quote by square footage because there's so many obviously different factors, but I know there's a lot of cleaning companies out there that's how they base their quotes on. But for us, it just doesn't really work that well. It's a good starting point, but then capturing all the rest of this information is really important. So pets. Most of our clients have cats and dogs, and obviously somebody who has 3 cats is going to require a lot more work than somebody who doesn't have any animals. Husband and a wife. This one's really tricky for me because if a woman's calling in, it insinuates that they're married. And in today's day, that's not always the case. So I know it says husband and wife in there, but I do kind of, if I get a feel that they're married and, the kids and everything, I'll ask for a husband. But then I'll just say, is anybody else residing in the home besides you or the dog? It's kind of a little bit more of an icebreaker than just saying, your husband. We do ask for referred by. If an individual is referring a client, I want to make sure I follow up that client and say thank you. So obviously you want to know where your referrals are coming from. People are coming in from Google, or if they're coming in from Facebook, you want to make sure you capture that information because it's really important to grow your business and how you're getting that business. Then I would go into, their actual email or their actual address. And then we always ask for an email address because I like to communicate and put everything in writing after I meet with them to give them an actual quote. So this is just the intake sheet when they call in. Now, I know different things work differently for other companies. For me, in my service area, we have a smaller service area, so I like to give that one-on-one approach with each individual client. I like to give them at least an hour of my time, or at the most, an hour of my time to be able to go into the home and say, this is who we are, this is how we work, these are the cleaners that we use, this is our policy, we're licensed, insured, and bonded, my sales pitch, if you will. But I've always felt that doing it face-to-face is a lot more valuable than doing it over the phone, because when somebody's having a financial issue, they need to look at their budget and say, hey, listen, am I going to keep going to Starbucks every day, or am I going to have, the cleaners come in and clean? And we want to make sure that they choose the cleaners, not Starbucks. And then sometimes going face-to-face doesn't work for the company. So this intake sheet does work both ways. There are some times that I can't go meet a client. If there is, it's a one-time cleaning, then we do it all over the phone. And this still captures all the information. Okay, so let's see. We said email address, referred by, initial cleaning quote, and a regular cleaning quote. Obviously, we're going to ask them how often they are going to need services. So we'll put this in here. These may not get filled out until actually we meet the client or a little bit later, but we want a slot for how much the regular clean is going to be and what their initial will be. So square footage, floors. Floors are very important for us. You can have tile, you can have wood, you can have carpet, you can have laminate, you can have area rugs. So just getting that information could be, a huge factor in their quote. Another big factor is window treatments. We have a lot of plantation shutters here, so they're a lot easier to clean versus blinds. We could have a 3,000 square foot house and have 21 sets of blinds. So that's a huge, time issue for your initial cleaning that you're going to need to schedule extra time for that, which will mean extra money. Another thing, linens. And this is obviously for bed linens. Some clients like to have their sheets changed and some people don't. So that as much information that we can obtain here is going to be huge for the success in communicating with your staff who's going to go clean the house. So we'll go over our linen policy, and our policy is if you put the sheets at the foot of the bed, that signifies us to go ahead and change them. How that's really important is, a lot of our clients have little kids, and the kids could have, soiled the bed 2 days ago and they just changed the sheets. And a lot of people have linen closets. You never know what sheets go on what bed. So for me, that's a huge time saver. So we'll mark in how many beds need to be changed and whether they want them in the wash or the dryer, which I know sounds kind of silly, but some people don't want them started in the wash because they're not going to change it over and then they stink the next day. So just little things like that just can really help with communication between you and your staff. Another big one is, have you had another cleaning professional in the home? Because it really tells a lot about the client and their needs. We get some calls that people say the last cleaning was today. So you can really tell that they're unhappy with their cleaning company. And then we'll always ask why they left that service, because I'm a firm believer that you always want to make sure that you learn from your mistakes, learn from other mistakes, people's mistakes as well. So that kind of goes up to the pet peeves. I tend to normally do this more in person because, again, cleaning somebody's home is a very intimate thing, and everybody has special needs and wants, and it differs from everybody. So we'll always fill in, their pet peeves. A lot of times people don't know what they are, and I call them little irritants from somebody else cleaning their home. So this form is two pages, so it's front and back. So these notes are on the front page, and then the initial cleaning notes are on the back page. And for initial cleaning, certain companies have different items that they handle on the initial cleaning. The initial cleaning could consist of blinds or a detailed job on blinds and baseboards and doors, or the inside of the oven or inside the refrigerator. Bathroom vents are a really big one too. They're usually built up with a lot of dust and debris. So anything that we notice on that one-on-one meeting with the client, that'll go there. Even if I do something over the telephone, I'll ask them, anything that we need to know about on the initial cleaning that may not need to be addressed on the cleanings going forward. So I can't stress enough to you, communication. Communication is really the key, I would think, to anybody's business. So this intake sheet really works well. And over time, you can manipulate it to, if you need to add something else on that's not on here, just the more information you can capture is best. And I think really it sends a really good message to your client about how detailed you are, because you are asking these questions. I've actually taken a couple phone calls that I didn't have time to go out and meet with a client, and I did everything over the phone, and I used this as my guide, and the clients were very impressed with how detailed we were. She's like, I've never had anybody ask me these many questions, so I can really tell you're going to do a good job. So I hope this helps you in your business and going forward. And all right, have a great day.